He who wishes to be rich in a day will be hanged in a year. Leonardo da Vinci. My friends, 10 to 15 minutes a day, that is all we ask. How long will it take for you to master these charts? As long as it takes. The good news is, once you master the charts, the world is your oyster. So spend your time. Do your practice trading. Do your fractional trading when you think you're getting better. Don't go out and think you are the cat's meow and lose everything. That happens 9 times out of 10. Somebody has a little bit of success because the market's going up, and as we have that training named, it is very apt for the attitude, the rising tide floats all boats, and they think they're a genius until the market turns down, and then they lose everything they thought they had. So you need to go through those ups and downs. You need to practice trade, fractional trade. Learn by doing. You can do this. Let's jump into these charts. Stocks down, bonds, gold, Bitcoin. Bitcoin way up. Some good looking news on Bitcoin. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. And of course, Charting Crypto comes out every Wednesday night to Patreon members. Don't forget about that. If you're really into cryptocurrency, we really chart it. Now, let's talk about the S&P 500. We had 3 weeks of accelerating down movement, slowed down this last week with almost a doji, a little bitty green spinning top. Movement on the top and bottom. Derivative oscillator flat so far this week. Price percent oscillator again slowing down this last week and about the same so far this week, but we do see a 0.33, but we have a green open box candle, so down 0.33%, but we do see some, again, in our Heikin Ashi candlestick, we see the market trying to slow down in the down movement. So that derivative oscillator flattening shows us that as far as the end over acceleration goes, that has slowed down. Price percent oscillator, like I said, is still going down, sitting right there on the 2-day trend line, passing through the weekly trend line, which is a good sign. We look at the 2-day, we can see where he had that big up move on the Tuesday, Wednesday last week, Thursday, Friday, red spinning top. And then we have a doji forming first day of this latest 2-day candle right there on the 2-day and the weekly trend line in the confluence of the half-day derivative oscillator losing momentum, price percent oscillator flat. We look at the half-day, we can see where things headed down in the morning on Thursday afternoon, morning on Friday, trying to recover a little bit Friday afternoon, sliding sideways down just a little bit on Monday. So we'll see. Price percent oscillator's flat. Derivative oscillator did go negative, so we'll keep an eye and see where stocks are going to go this week. But a little hopeful sign that maybe that strong down movement is slacking off a little bit. And we look not as hopeful on the Nasdaq 100. It was down a little more, 0.80%. Price percent oscillator still sliding down. Derivative oscillator maybe a little less than flat. Yeah, a little less than flat. And like we said, a red spinning top, which is a slowdown in the down movement, although it went from green to red. And again, when we have a spinning top versus and again, that shows you where that little bit of up movement was. Not much, I'm willing to admit, not much. I just want to be hopeful. What do we see with the 2-day chart? First day of the latest 2-day candle, still another red spinning top, a sideways slide, derivative oscillator losing downward momentum, price percent oscillator flat, half day. See where things pounded down again, like the S&P on Thursday, Friday morning, Friday afternoon recovering a little bit, trying to hold things up on Monday morning and then down Monday afternoon. So that is where we are, my friends. Price percent oscillator still positive on that half-day. Derivative oscillator, though, went negative in the morning, gaining a little negative momentum in the afternoon. So again, we'll keep our eye on stocks, see where things go. At least it's not flooding down, but again, not a problem. Of course, we had that 2-day recross a few weeks back. So those of you who are shorting the market, if you're still in, I guess that's some good news for you. What do we see on TLT 20-year bonds? Well, we see again, you can look and see that we have a Weekly vertical crossover in effect, red down candle forming. It was up just barely today, 0.09%. Price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator heading down. We look at the 2-day, and you can see things starting off with, is this a lower low? The low is 138.55. The prior low, 138.78. Yes, it is a lower low, just a little bit, 30 cents or so. And again, derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum, price percent oscillator heading down, half day, down in the morning, recovering a little bit in the afternoon, price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator heading down. So bonds still lots of downward pressure, stocks still downward pressure. What about gold? Gold up for the day. Next to Bitcoin, it's our biggest gainer, 0.74%. Green candle is forming, pushing through the 2-day trend line. First day of this 5-day candle. Price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line after being flat the prior week. Derivative oscillator gaining a little bit of momentum, getting a little bigger. Look at the 2-day, still negative, but heading up on the price percent oscillator. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Green candle forming above the weekly trend line and above the 2-day trend line. So that's good to see as far as gold goes. And 1.5 days of up movement, up in the morning, further up in the afternoon. Quite nice. Price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line. Derivative oscillator green and gaining. So good on gold. Let's see what gold will do for us. Will we have that 2-day recross going up and give us the ability to jump into a 2-day recross going up on gold? Wouldn't that be sweet? Okay, let's leave gold and go to the big gainer for the day. Bitcoin up 10.18% on the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index. Even things like GBTC, that is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. It's not an ETF, it's a trust. But of course, it buys and sells like an ETF or a stock, but it is different. And does have high fees associated with it that come out of the earnings. But what we see going on here is we see the derivative oscillator losing momentum, price percent oscillator flat negative, but a green up candle forming, blowing out the weekly trend line. And of course, hey, let's check out Ethereum while we're at it. We see Ethereum up 8.22%. And again, nice to see a green up candle. How long has it been since we've seen a green up candle in Ethereum? All the way back to mid-November when things topped out. And then the big rollover hit. So nice to see on Ethereum too. That is Grayscale Ethereum Trust, another trust managed by the same guys that manage Grayscale Bitcoin. They actually own the coins. And of course, they follow price movement. You can buy into that trust. Hey, what about our Bitcoin futures? Well, you have BITO, BTF, and the low cost leader as far as price management fees go. That is XBTF by Van Eck. They are all up today, right around 9, just a little less than 9%. So that is good to see. We'll be getting into all of this, of course, and more on our Wednesday Charting Crypto for our Patreon supporters. If you're not one and want to be one, hey, go to our Patreon page. You'll see a link in the show notes, or just look up Charting Wealth Patreon. Go there, support us at any of the 3 levels. We will appreciate it. You help take care of some of the costs associated with me putting this on for free every day. Now, let's look at Bitcoin and delve into that a little more. Derivative oscillator still negative, price percent oscillator still negative. Both of them are looking better than they did, of course, last week. We saw a bit of a slowing when we went from a solid red down candle to a solid green. That's a slowdown in the down movement. And now we have a green open box candle. Here's where it gets beautiful, though. look at what we see developing on the 2-day. We see it blowing through the 2-day trend line and blowing through the weekly trend line. Is that not gorgeous? Acceleration in the up movement went from pretty much a doji to a green open box spinning top to this latest big green up candle. Price percent oscillator trying to cross over, hasn't done it yet, but because the candle's not finished drawing, but it may very well be doing that, portending what? The beauty of a potential weekly vertical crossover. And you may say, Tom, why not do it now? Well, that is possible. At the close of the market tomorrow, you wanted to jump into Bitcoin. Could you do that? Sure. You can go to Vegas and gamble all the money you want to. If you look back in time, though, at our weekly vertical crossovers on Bitcoin, and if you just kept your powder dry and looked at those, they would have done you pretty righteous nonetheless. So again, weekly vertical crossovers for us show the most obvious change in investor sentiment. The 2-day is, of course, 2.5 times smaller than that as far as the wave of sentiment goes. So the bigger the wave of sentiment, typically the longer it's going to continue on. Typically the bigger a change it is, and the less likely the vicissitudes of investor sentiment changes quickly when you have that big change in the weekly. There's plenty of time. So if anybody ever tries to rush you to do anything, there's probably a reason, and it's probably to have you not think. So think it through. Now, we're not giving you investment advice. We're asking you to practice trade with us. If you want to learn how Bitcoin works, then you need to practice trade it. You don't need to be out there throwing your hard-earned money at anything when you don't know what you're doing. That doesn't become investing. That becomes gambling. But it's your money. Do with it whatever you want. I'm not here to advise you. We're just here to try to educate folks. So we see the start of what might be a 2-day crossover going up. Not a 2-day recross, but a crossover. Nice green up candle forming. Derivative oscillators gone green. And the price percent oscillator trying to cross. Look at this half day. We saw the half day crossover going up back on the 28th. And what did it do? It went up. Then what did it do? It went down. Then it started to move up again on Friday morning, Friday afternoon. Well, I'm sorry, this is all about the same candle. What we saw happen then, and again, the way this is reported once a day. We just chart it like we do everything else. I don't want to give you this feeling that somehow we're charting this in the morning and afternoon. We base it on when the New York Times or the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index reports. So we see it going up 2 days in a row. Let me just say that. That's why these numbers always equal the same. You can see the candle, but it always equals the same. That's how they report it. Now, if we want to get into the weeds on it, these futures can show you more of sort of how the action progressed. But even they are reported very, very similar. And again, they're buying and selling throughout the day. And of course, Grayscale Bitcoin, you can see the way they report. So what we see happening with Bitcoin across the board, we look at any of these indexes we see, or any of these ETFs or index. What do we see happening? We see Bitcoin gaining a hell of a lot for the day. And it's looking better for the cryptocurrency. Also, the rest of the crypto market, if you look at BITW, the 10 Crypto Index Fund, which again tracks the top 10 cryptocurrencies as per market capitalization. You can see it's having a beautiful day. Why? Because the big leader, which is Bitcoin, is heading up, and the next biggest leader, that is Ethereum, is heading up too. And we look at things like the Bitcoin strategy, we look at things like blockchain, we look at things like digital transformation. These are all ETFs invested in the crypto world. They're all going up quite nicely for the day. So that is what we see as we jump into this Monday. Again, stocks down some, bonds up a little, gold up nicely, and of course, Bitcoin a-booming. That's where we are, folks. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth, world headquarters.